Most men believe attraction and is simple. Be kind. Be loyal. Be stable. And she will choose you. But here is the uncomfortable truth psychology keeps revealing. The man who is perfect on paper is often the man she feels the least attraction for. Why are the perfect gentlemen often left behind, while the complex and unpredictable men create such an intense, magnetic attraction? Freud famously stated that desire never submits to reason, suggesting our deepest urges operate completely outside our conscious logical control. Carl Jung argued that we eventually fall in love with those who reflect the dark, hidden parts of our own selves. So what happens if attraction is not actually a choice we make, but an unconscious reaction we simply cannot stop? To understand this, we must look beneath the surface of social politeness and explore the raw currents of human psychology. Welcome to the deep dive into female nature, where we decode the hidden laws governing desire, attraction, and biological instinct. Freud believed the libido operates entirely beneath the conscious mind, driving behaviors that our logical brain often tries to justify. Women often consciously believe they select partners based on stability, logic, and a secure future, yet their biology reacts differently. This is the conflict between System 1, which is fast and emotional, and System 2, which is slow and logical. Attraction belongs to System 1. It happens instantly, triggered by cues that bypass the rational mind and hit the gut. A man can be perfect on paper, fulfilling every logical requirement, yet fail to trigger that essential spark of desire. We must accept a hard truth. We choose our life partners consciously, but we feel raw attraction completely unconsciously. This unconscious mechanism seeks novelty and tension, elements that safety and predictability simply cannot provide to the human brain. Stability is excellent for raising a family, but it is often the enemy of the passionate spark required for seduction. Desire is a current, not a decision. It flows where there is energy, mystery, and a deviation from the mundane. Imagine an instinctual compass inside her mind that constantly scans for specific traits like autonomy and psychological depth. This compass points towards men who possess internal self-control and the ability to exist without needing constant external approval. Neuroscience tells us the brain is not activated by prolonged comfort, but by something called reward prediction error. When she knows exactly what you will do next, there is no prediction error, and therefore, no dopamine spike occurs. The man who is too safe fails to create anticipation. He offers comfort, but he starves the brain of excitement. It is not because he lacks value as a person, but because he fails to provide the necessary neural stimulation. The instinctual compass seeks a partner who offers a moderate level of uncertainty and healthy psychological tension. This tension signals that you are a separate entity, a challenge to be figured out, rather than a solved puzzle. Biology rewards the pursuit. If there is no pursuit required, the biological reward system simply goes dormant. To trigger attraction, you must understand that being predictable is the quickest way to become invisible to her unconscious. The instinctual compass is magnetic. It is drawn to the pole that stands firm, not the one that moves easily. Now we descend deeper into the realm of Carl Jung and the concept that explains the most confusing female behaviors. Jung suggested that we are intensely attracted to people who activate our shadow, the repressed parts of our personality. For many modern women, society demands they be controlled, rational, successful, and perfectly behaved at all times. This repression creates a shadow filled with rebellion, impulsiveness, and a desire to lose control completely. When a man appears who embodies this wildness, he acts as a mirror, reflecting her own hidden desires back to her. She feels a magnetic pull, not just because of who he is, but because of who she wants to be. This interaction creates a potent mix of fear and excitement. She feels attracted, yet simultaneously afraid of the intensity. This is often why self-sabotage occurs. The feelings are so strong that they threaten her sense of controlled identity. She may pull away or create conflict, not because she dislikes you, but because the energy is overwhelming her system. Remember this crucial insight. Sometimes she pulls away, not because she feels nothing, but because she feels too much. The shadow is powerful. If you can safely embody the traits she represses, you become an irresistible force in her life. However, you must be the rock that can withstand her storm, not a leaf that gets blown away by it. By integrating your own dark side, you give her permission to explore hers, creating a bond deeper than logic. This psychological mirroring is the secret behind the relationships that seem illogical, but are intensely passionate. Moving from the shadow to the surface, we must understand how communication, or the lack of it, fuels desire. Let us explore the phenomenon of the silent seductress and the psychological power of withholding information. The Zeigarnik effect states that the human brain hates incomplete tasks and empty spaces. It wants to close the loop. When you do not reveal everything, do not constantly confirm, and do not explain, her mind must work. Her unconscious mind rushes to fill in the missing gaps with her own fantasies and projections about who you are. Silence is not emptiness. It is a canvas. Ambiguity increases attraction because it forces her to invest mental energy. By not being an open book, you allow her to write the character she desires most onto you. Before her logic can intervene, her body reveals the truth through dilated pupils, changed breathing, and micro-expressions. These physiological responses happen instantly. They are the body's way of signaling interest before the mind decides. Mastering the art of silence and strong body language communicates more confidence than 1,000 words ever could. When you talk less, she leans in. When you explain less, she wonders more. This is the mechanics of intrigue. However, we must now address the uncomfortable reality that society often tries to hide from men. Society sells us a story that love is orderly, attraction is controllable, and that everything is ultimately fair. But desire is symbolic. Jungian archetypes operate deep beneath our culture, ignoring modern rules of politeness and equality. Attraction does not follow morality. It follows energy, polarity, and symbols of strength, competence, and danger. This does not mean women simply like bad men. It means they crave the energy that those men often project. A virtuous man who is weak will often lose to a flawed man who is strong. This is biological reality. We must accept that desire is not a moral choice. It is a reaction to strength, direction, and unyielding purpose. She does not want to be controlled, but she wants to know that you can control yourself and your environment. The archetype of the king or the warrior triggers attraction because it signals survival and competence to her ancient brain. In our modern world, we often suppress these archetypes to fit in, killing the very energy that creates desire. The goal is not to become immoral, but to understand that being nice is not a currency that buys attraction. You must stop viewing desire as a transaction where your good deeds are exchanged for her romantic interest. So how do we use this information? The answer lies in integration, not in manipulation or toxic games. The solution is not to fake these traits or create false drama. That is unsustainable and ultimately weak. The true solution is to develop genuine depth, to have a life so full that you do not need her validation. Attraction naturally flows to the man who is on his own path, who has his own mission and purpose. It comes from internal power, autonomy, and the genuine ability to walk away if boundaries are crossed. You can be a good man and a dangerous man at the same time. That is the definition of integration. When you integrate your shadow, you become capable of protecting her, which allows her to surrender to her feminine nature. Stop trying to be chosen. Start building a life and a character that compels the world to choose you. Desire is not a contract you negotiate. It is a current you generate through who you become. Remember, the man who truly understands this dynamic does not chase. He simply becomes the destination. If you want to learn how to build this psychological depth instead of just faking it, we can go deeper. Comment the word depth below if you want part 2 on building true internal power. See you in the next video.